Okay, and welcome back everybody. Sorry it's been so long. I have been working on this engine. This engine is detailed enough and just different enough to have taken me forever to build it. But I did finally beat it. It was fighting me quite a bit. The fit was okay. You know, there were some things, obvious things that you knew weren't going to line up very well, like that turbo hose there. And it is a hose. I mean, they say it's a hose. The instructions said it was a hose. Let me talk about that right now. And on the box, they show it as a hose. See there? And so I don't know a whole lot about turbos, but in all the reference pics I saw was showing it as a pipe. And so, but here we have a hose that attaches to the exhaust manifold. I would think that that would melt it, but I'm just going by what the instructions said to do there. So I just wanted to explain that quickly. But yeah, very different setup. Look at the way the intake setup is. That centerpiece is glued on there, and then the turbo and the carburetor are hanging off of it, hanging in midair. There's air through there. See there? And so that was unusual, and that was a bit of a nightmare to get those hanging pieces attached to these other pieces. And in fact, I will admit failure on this side. Basically, you see there where the hose doesn't make it all the way up to the air filter. Yeah, I had to keep on nipping off a little bit to get it to fit. Nip it off a little bit more, and then nip it off a little too much. So it doesn't quite make it, but I think that that would just kind of pay homage to the turbo Firebirds that are out there still running. That probably, that's all decomposed and doesn't work anymore anyway. But yeah, this engine was a challenge. All the components here on the front, air conditioner, power steering, alternator, they were all in two pieces, front and back halves, so you had to glue the halves together and then sand the seam. And you know, got that done and looking pretty well. The of course, the big ticket item there was the distributor. Oh my. So they include the hose. This is vinyl hose. Very, very tiny vinyl hose with a little hole in it. And what they explain to do up here, you gotta see this. They say to take the distributor, which is the size of an eraser, and to drill a whole bunch of the tiny holes in there, and then stick pins in it, 8 pins, one at a time of course, and then make a little tiny bend in there without it coming loose, which is impossible, and then cut them off so that you have these little posts still on there for the hose to conveniently just fit right onto. That wasn't going to happen at all. So, but what I did do is I drilled 8 holes of the diameter of the hose. I got them all in there. And then I glued the hoses in there. And I know they look so thick. They were a little bit too thick. But that's what came with the kit. So I keep saying hoses, but these are ignition wires. And I glued all them in there, so they were in there nice and secure. And then then they said to do the same thing with the heads. Drill all your little holes, stick your pins in, cut them off, so that you'll have all these little pins sticking up to conveniently stick the hoses on. Now that I might have done but I looked at the instructions after I had the engine all glued together already, so couldn't quite go through the back. So I did it the same way. I just drilled the holes and glued the hoses in. I mean the wires. So they're all glued in there nice. And oh yes, the other side of that sheet. If you guys happen to have this kit, here's the other side of that. If you guys happen to have this kit and you have this wiring chart, these are the lengths that it tells you to cut the wires. You just hold them right up to the paper and make the cuts, and then you follow the procedure and the numbers, and you have the correct firing order. And wouldn't that be great? And that's what I did. I cut them all out. I did cut them out first before looking at distances, and trusted this sheet. Don't trust this sheet. Those lengths are wrong. Number one, look at this. The number one wire is the shortest wire, and that's the one where they're saying to go from the distributor all the way to the front of the engine on the driver's side. That will not reach. It will not. And so the one on the other side as well. There was another, I think it was number 6? That was number 2. Number 2 is also too short, wherever it is. No, well, it's longer. One of the other ones wasn't long enough either. Anyway, this does not work. Don't follow this. Just follow your instincts. You have enough wire. You will have some left over here. So if you want to get the correct firing order, just go by this firing order. I haven't checked to see if this is right, but cut your own lengths. Just string them and cut them and put them in, because this is wrong. Ultimately, what I had to do, since I cut all the lengths already and had them all glued into the distributor already, and then they wouldn't reach, is I just changed the firing order. I made my own firing order. And so the number 1, you'll see it right there. Number 1 wire is right there, and it's supposed to go to the front, and I put it here. And then I just randomly put the other ones in. So this engine wouldn't run very well because its firing order is wrong. But who knows? Who cares? Anyway, I'm expecting to have a little problem jamming it in against the firewall, but this is very rubbery stuff, so I think that it will move out of the way nicely. I'm just looking at the box picture, and it is jammed up there real tight, so I'm anticipating that. By the way, if you're wondering why there's a big hole in the box, is because I took a picture into Home Depot. I was matching up some paint, and now I don't know where that went, but for the interior, which is coming next. Anyway, other than that, we've got the crossover pipe is on there, and starter, and not much else to explain there. I don't really know how the turbo works. I know the basic concept, but I wouldn't have expected the exhaust to go straight into a crossover pipe and stay contained. Don't know what's going on there. That is attached to the exhaust manifold and back up to the breather. And then you have the turbo pipe, turbo hose, coming up to the turbo. And then what's not on there, of course, is the actual exhaust. That empty hole there is going to be the actual exhaust pipe that leads down to the exhaust. So even though it has dual exhaust, everything is coming out of that turbo. The whole exhaust from the engine is going to be coming out of that turbo and into the exhaust. Match up here. I don't dare put that on yet because it won't, it will never line up. So when I'm putting together the rolling chassis and putting on the exhaust, I'll put on that pipe, and then that's the way it goes out there. The exhaust looks like it's going to be pretty neat. 2 pieces. See there, the mufflers and the catalytic converter all have back sides. And so good detail on this kit. And the fit is okay. I will just say that it's okay. And I'm getting ready to work on the rolling chassis now. I've got the... haven't done anything on this yet, but this is up there and ready to go. And so the next update is going to be the finished rolling chassis. I don't know if the interior tub is going to be in there yet, or if it's just going to be a mechanical chassis, but maybe, because I'm pretty anxious to get to the interior. And so that is where the engine and the exhaust and suspension and everything will be on there, and those spiffy wheels in their tires. And by the way, look at that. I'm practicing on the back of the wheel white lettering, which I stated very clearly that I couldn't do, but you see I need a little more practice, and this is on the back of the tire. By the way, I have to get that off of there. The acrylic, this stuff here, I need help. This stuff here, how do you get this off? Because I was just practicing thinking I could get that off, and it doesn't seem to be coming off really, really easy. How do you remove acrylic paint from tire? If anybody could tell me, that'd be great. Because even on the inside of the tire, on the underside of the chassis, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. But I needed practice, so I did that. But it looks like I'm going to be able to do the white lettering. So we'll have white lettering up against these wheels, and work on the rolling chassis next. And that will probably go faster than the engine did. Let me tell you, I am happy to have this engine finished. It took too long, but it was an adventure, and I learned from it. I learned a lot from it, and happy to have it done. So I appreciate you all watching, and stay tuned for more. I am planning to have this done. What is it, Kenny? November? Gotta have this done by November. I think I can do it. Alrighty. I appreciate you watching. Thanks, and y'all have a good day.